stories, but it's all about the protest of the reminded youths in prison.
And protesters speak. The detainees in the central prison also speak on the horrible conditions of the Gambian prison. More on that later on the program. A bit of smiles on the Gambians, especially those who cross Barra ferry, as the Gambians now got a new ferry, which is also very important for our traders in this industry. So those are the lead stories on Standard News paper. But before going further, we will join BBC Inquiry 2 to take us through all the latest that you really need to know about the world. And of course, we have DW News Roundup 2 on this medium. But I'm glad to announce that Hello, studio, as you can see on the background, with the FATOU. Welcome to the daily podcast. I think this is your first appearance on the daily podcast, right?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Fatih. Yeah, this is the first time, and I'm happy to join the daily podcast. Yeah.
And I'm also glad to receive you on the program this afternoon. So let's kick the program with current inquiry going on in the country regarding the local governments, their expenditure and whatsoever that has to do with the country. But the recent one, which has been the mayor of Taliban, the Cardiff Municipal Council, Taliban, his testimony with the lead council is also, it gets a point where it gets a little bit tense. It was a very interesting. So let me just go to that article and then we come to break it down in our own perspective in the country. This one reads from the Standard newspaper. But to remind ourselves and our audience that they are listening to the daily podcast live on King TV and King FM with me, Alhaji Fati and the FATOU. In a tense and reviving day of testimony at the local government commission of inquiry, Mayor Talib Ahmed Bensouda tackled a bragger of questions so aggressive regarding his role in the council day-to-day operation that has at some point if the lead counsel was a prosecutor or so that he could have bring to the hearing. Bensouda has always accused the commission of unfairness towards him because of his political differences and stand for central government on KMC matters. His appearance drew renewed attention from the public to commission's public hearing with a preparable air on near all honesty and the escape on the display. The core of this fiery escape yesterday revealed around the extent of the mayor's influence on the investigation bureau, suggesting a more hands-on approach than a mayor acknowledged. The proceedings kick off with the introduction, a key document that the witness presented, including senior management team minutes. These minutes became a focal point with lead councillor Patrick Gomez urged them to challenge the mayor session. The bill suggested that the mayor's directive involvement in the administrative, which repeatedly denied. The mayor maintained that he offered guidance to support, but was not part of the day-to-day decision-making process and described his role as a glue between management and the council facility, communicating between different communities. However, lead council Gomez also encountered this claim that highlighting instances where mayor appear to be directly involved in decision-making process, including the approval of expenditures and the giving of instruction. Lead council pointed out that the minutes indicate that mayors are present and influence in the meeting, which contradict his statement about being member of the senior management team. Lead council brought out the minute of the those were just minutes, and that does not decide the limits, and that has never been forwarded to the mayor's office. The back and forth between the mayor and the lead council grew increasingly heated, with both sides firmly holding their ground. The lead council repeatedly challenged the mayor's statement, pointing out inconsistency and contradicted the mayor in turn. Insists on his position, emphasizing the importance of separation of power and the limitation of his role. Lead counsel brought up the claims of previous KMC CEOs who stated that they had to seek clearance from the mayor's office. Bensouda categorically denied this, citing that such claims were false. What are we saying here is that your CEOs have repeatedly said that had seek clearance from you. Council Gomez also told the witness. Mayor Bensouda replied, with respect, I think you are answering on my behalf. I would appreciate if you would ask and allow me to submit the evidence. If this is prosecution, I would ask that my lawyer is invited to join us. Well, very interesting, interaction between the lead counsel, Patrick Gomez, and the mayor of KMC. I think the point of contention there, the lead counsel is trying to push Bensouda to a corner to confirm whether he take part in key decision making at the council or not. But Bensouda also, knowing he said the structures that we established there, each structure are working according to their activity because they have 19 councillors, 12 committees, and other committees as well. So, FATOU is really interesting. That was a very, I would use the word very combative, inquiry regarding the Bensouda and the lead council, the talk of war. And then whereas even the deputy commissioner also, that's a chairperson also, who is no other person than Geneva, who intervened to make sure there is a understanding between the two gentlemen. It was very interesting, really.
Yeah, the story was very interesting, and like it's just like a kind of conflict between these two people, Bensouda and the lead counsel. Yeah, because they go to an extent that whereby Bensouda was asking him whether he is a lawyer.
Whether they are in the courthouse or what.
Yeah, exactly. Whether they are in the courthouse for that. Yeah, it's something that also is Talib's right to explain the way like he's operating the same as the lead counsel also to also clarify how Talib also is doing all the day-to-day affairs of all his program. You understand? So it was something that memorable that dapat tajam tarap.
Yeah. And Bensouda still, and he said, knowing his stand with the central government and then his, their political difference, he said that is what they want to take advantage of him. So those were the two things that he also mentioned, like his their political differences and his stand with the central government regarding the former CEO activity. So he's feeling like the commission have all those things at their back and then trying to hammer him. So that is what those were the words of the mayor of KMC. Now let's go to the leader of GMC, Mai Ahmed Fati. Mai Ahmed Fati say he is also denying all the youths that went to protest against Plura. But let's see what exactly Mai Fati put on paper because of it is on a standard newspaper this afternoon. Gambian Moral Congress GMC leader Mai Ahmed Fati expressed strong disagreement with anti-Pura protesters, most of whom are remanded in prison awaiting trial for holding procession without a permit. In a statement shared with Standard, Fati said the scared right to protest stands as a democracy beating heart, yet it must plus within the criteria boundaries of law and order, for which citizens raise their voice in righteousness, dissent, the guardians of peace, law, and order bear an equally scared duty to ensure that expression does not masterize into chaos, and that legitimate grievance does not abide illegal violence as well. He added that democracy, when misunderstood as a license to whatever you want rather than accountable citizenship becomes not civilization, crowding, achievement. Both is giving Paris such as a mob of masquerade as a movement, and as a movement actually dropped in the false robes of righteousness. So my father is saying those who protest is against them because of he said they have no right to go with that protest because they did not have the permit. So You agree with him there entirely?
Exactly like how my father said, as a youth, you have the right to permit if you are given a permission to do so, right? And also, if you are given a permission to do so, there are some limitations that they will ask you. If you start the permission, here is where you're going to start, and here is where you're going to stop it. You understand? Especially when it comes to between the youths and the police. For the police also, is their right to understand nga pour you observe the citizens how they are going to do the protest,
Yeah.
where they will start it and where they are going to end it. Whether it is peaceful protest or war protest, is there right for them also to follow it. But what my father is saying that like he disagree that like you're gonna protest without
the
permission.
Yeah.
Of course. And as a citizen, if you deny the permission, then you should go to somewhere. You can go to the court, you understand,
Yeah.
and ask that is a right for you to protest. So if you are denied about that, you should go to the right place and lodge your complaint so that you you understand. Yeah, I agree with him according to what he said. You can only protest if you are given the right to protest, and if you are not given the right, go to the right place. You understand? Things can be solved. But like if you are not given the right to protest and that you want to come out and do it, muna cause li nga xamantene moom moo di conflict.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Bear in mind that you are listening to the daily podcast live coming to you from King TV and King FM. This program where we bring you up speed with all the latest that you need to know about your country and, of course, elsewhere in the world. Still with Standard News paper, because as we can see, Barrow established committee to review poorest telecom price regulation. In response to the recent controversial price regulation introduced by Pura in the telecommunication sector, President Adam Barrow has established a high-level committee to review the regulations. This was communicated in a press release yesterday from the Office of the President. According to the statement, the committee will comprise representatives from the relevant government institutions who will conduct a thorough and impartial review of the pricing regulation. It also stated that the committee members will include representatives from the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Trade, Industry, Region, Integration and Employment, Pura and Gambia Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, GCCPC. The release stated that the government acknowledged the public's concern about the pricing regulations and assure Gambians that their interests, welfare, and rights regarding fair and affordable service will be safeguarded. Last week, implementation of a new data tariff by Pura triggered a public outcry, culminating in a protest and subsequently arrested several individuals involved in the demonstration that the police say are illegally are currently awaiting a trial at Mile 2 Central Prison. Human rights groups have condemned the arrest and detention of the protesters and called for their unconstitutional release. So, I think this press release from the Office of the President is very good, but it could have come even earlier than this. But it's a very good move from the Office of the President. They could have done this well since the day that Pura make that announcement.
Yeah, before the protesters will come out and do their demonstration.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was a very good decision to know the stance of the president as well. So let's proceed with another interesting article. This time around, a task force committee within the parliament revealed James Rolex car was escaped to a Senegalese company with 4 different cars, and then according to this report, these cars were presented to the office of the president. But let's find out what exactly is in this report. 5 Rolex cars are from James Freezing Flute were escaped with a car from a Senegalese company, EMG. According to the government vehicle control, Famara Sediba, testifying at the National Assembly Special Committee investigations yesterday Sediba said the decision to escape the car was taken by cabinet when Noah Ture was the Secretary General and Head of Civil Service. A total of 5 Rolex cars, 1 Bentley, and 1 Mini Cooper were given to EMG for 4 Toyota Parrots, 2 vans, 4 Mitsubishi L200, and 2 VIP Mercedes Benz E200 class, the vehicle controller told the inquiry. He explained that the vehicle from EMG were allocated to the office of the president. We are using all of them, said Sediba explained. He added that the exception of the 2 VIP Mercedes-Benz car, the rest of the vehicles were given to the security at the State House. According to Mr. Sediba, the Rolex cars, Bentley, and Mini Cooper were valued by 1 Ibrahim Jai before the escape. So it's really another shocking, and then I'm sure the authorities will not be happy with this one because of those cars were very expensive.
Exactly.
You change it for another car to another businessman in Senegal. Why all those things are happening? That should not happen anyway. So it's really a sad situation there. But I believe the authorities are taking note because of the parliamentary committee are really coming with a very interesting things that we don't know before are also coming out in this episode. So we'll see. Remind that you are listening to the daily podcast live on King FM, King TV, and Choice TV as well. This is your daily podcast. And Urban TV, they are also with us. We have a lot of TVs live joining us in this episode. I think, Fatou, we're going to take a short break and then we'll be back with another interesting stories. Fatou, welcome back to the program. So now what we're going to do, we will bring a testimony from the BBC regarding the protest of the Gambia, how BBC cover it, and then we make our own comment about it because of whenever there's a problem in Africa, especially when it comes to the British Broadcasting Corporation, they always spearhead to inform the wider world the latest thing about that particular country. So that is why we always try to tell people, let's people be patient and be more peaceful, and let's respect the order that is the law, because that is it's very, very important for us to be law-abiding citizens in our country. First, let's see how BBC cover this protest before we digest. It is very important for us.
Okay. As far as BBC, for them, like in the Gambia, we have the access with them. Sometimes when they have this news, whatever they write, they used to send it to the Gambia, and sometimes they used to write something about the Gambia, especially when it comes to anything. They also used to write it.
Yeah, the thing is like the thing that like if you look at BBC, especially they are this African corporation, they always talk bad about Africa.
About Africa.
So it's true, that program is purely about Africa, but it's not only about they can only come to Africa whenever there's only a problem. There are other developing stories in Africa, but they are not covered. So that's why our politicians, the individuals, we have to be very careful because it's very, very important, to safeguard the peace of this country. But let's join BBC Focus on Africa team. How did they cover this and how did they perceive the protests in the Gambia?
From the West African nation of Gambia, thousands hit the streets in the capital of Banjul to protest against President Adama Barrow's government. Now, the protesters marched through the city chanting "Power and People," carrying handwritten placards which read, "Gambians are not slaves to corruption." Demonstrations were against alleged government corruption. Gambians sought justice over a series of recent scandals that have rocked the country.
Need for such a protest because of in Gambia, corruption and poverty. Everyone believes that it is not innate but adaptive in this country because of we have been living under pillage and plunder for so long, and corruption is endemic in this country. Like it is a norm, normalized here as of now, and corruption is being seen as many as a religion in this country. People do a whole lot of things and go scot-free. That's why we have 1,000,002 things to protest about in this country, but we chose only 5 for a start to do it.
The protests were led by
That the price of democracy is eternal vigilance. We cannot elect a government, sit back.
All right. The reason I brought this podcast from the BBC, I just want to prove a point because I don't think that report by the BBC, is correct there to me anyway. Because Gambians, we are not protesting against Adama Barrow, as the reporter said. Gambians are protesting against Pura, even though Pura is directly under the government, we understand. But in reality, the issue in contention here is the tariff, the Pura's increment of this. So that is why sometimes the international media, you see some African countries, they will ban them for wrong representation. Yeah, so that's why we always tell people we have to be very mindful in whatever we do. And then this is what I always keep on telling people. Whenever the media face you for an interview, that's your right. Ask the journalist, what are you going to ask me? What are we going to talk about? Let the journalist put you in the topic. If it's going to be about this protest, talk about the protest. That is the one angle that we are protesting against Pura for aiding the GSM operators in the country in overpricing. That's a fact. But if you go in the extent, you're now talking about corruption. You're now talking about a bad governance system. There are a lot of issues that are into it. That's why even the protest, whenever we are going now, we have to sit, rethink, and plan it, and go out with one angle. If we are going for irregularities with Pura, let's go 100% for that. If we are going for anything for what good governance, let's go 100% for that. But let's don't take advantage of an issue to jump onto another one. I don't think that's fair to be honest. Yeah.
Sometimes, if you sit and watch those that are coming out to protest, they will not be saying the same thing. Some people will be talking about the main thing about the protest. Some people will be talking about the hardship of the country.
Yeah.
Some people will be talking about corruption. Yeah. So many of them come with a different angle.
Yeah.
Just like the way you say it, if you are going to do something, everybody whom you're going to be included in that place, you should try and talk in one angle and go for one angle. But now that is not something that is really happening. That's why fake news mom that they spread always, because like when the youths are out, they are protesting against Pura for the encouragement of this DSM stuff like that. And some people are out there talking about corruption bi bari na liggéey amut xaalis amut stuff like that, that was not the main reason lu tax gars yi ñu génna and then they were protesting
Yeah.
understand, yeah.
And then one thing also, because yesterday I read an article on the social media. I'm trying to avoid names on the social media that some of the government artists are muted. They are not doing A and they are not doing B. We have to understand.
Yeah.
Artists, music has its own industry. Yes, generally we are all Gambians, but the musicians, they have to champion their music industry. Anything that affect their music industry, they have to say it. Either that thing come from the government or it come from the their funds or whatsoever, but that is their industry. So you don't expect an artist to jump like that on political issues. You know why? Because of even some national issues, artists they cannot just jump like how we do. So we should protect our artists and whatsoever, so that at least the respect that they have from all sectors in the country. Because whenever we involve our artists in the politics, that's going to be an issue. Because probably I'm an artist of a, let's say, Jaliba or whatsoever. But in as much as Jaliba with MPP, UDP, or any other political party, probably I might withdraw. So we don't want, and then at the end of the day, we are the ones going to the social media writing good about our artists. And if you all start writing bad about our artists, we are not doing it to that particular artist, but we are doing it to the nation as a whole.
Exactly.
So because of if the artist lose integrity in his home, his or her own soil, outside world will be like nothing for the person again. So because it's like some people are now pushing some of the artists to go out on protest. As far as they are here and the government are behind them. So when government is going out, they should come. No, this is what I say. We should not mix things together.
Exactly.
If we are going for a bad governance system or change of reforms, let's go purely for that. If we are going for the pure, we go pure for that. If political parties are going out for a particular issue directly, let's go directly into that issue. Because you applying a permit for instance, to send your petition to IEC or wherever, and then people follow you. You jump and go into a lot of issues that is going to create a problem. We don't want to. We want a good governance, but we want even to have any more problem. But we don't want this country to have a problem, to be honest. Because if the Gambia has a problem today, we are not going to be in the studio to be having this atmosphere and then giving out, the updates to people. Yeah.
Exactly. Come no go Herek, but the thing is like many people don't know what they want. Yeah, many young people are there, they don't know what they want. Do you understand? If you are going for something particularly, go for that, and people will understand what is in your heart and what is really distracting. You understand? But if at all majority of the people are going for this and you are going for something else, it is not going to be the same. It is going to be different. You understand? When you come to the artists, for the artists, you know how much industry. What are you writing? Lan nga nekk di woy? What will the people learn from it through your words that you are giving out? Because some people when they suñu woyee rek suñu woyee dang dee mën a jàngat si li nga xamante ne ñoom loolu leen woy. You understand? So it's something like dafa nekk loo xamante ne it shouldn't be mixed. Waruñ koo mix war nañ si bàyyi seen xel bu baax a baax ndax bu dee change mel la ñëpp a ko bëgga. Understand nga? Because dëkk bi moom ñëpp xam ne naka la nekk di demee. But if you are going out specially for something, go and do that so that people can understand. But doo wax ne damaa génn ma dem dox ñaxtu so doxam ñaxtu bi li tax nga jug nga di ko def nekkuloo di ko def into the right way. So loolu moo dee is the oldest problem and all this misunderstanding. Exactly.
Yeah. So very soon we're going to join BBC for the today's inquiry, which the question will be, what does President Putin want now? So in this afternoon episode, that is going to be the whole concept to explain and then let the world understand the Russia and the Ukraine war and what is the actual intention of Putin in the international scene. We will try to cover that through the BBC and then put things as how they should be for our audience. But on a nutshell, it has been a very interesting government podcast roundup because we review government papers, update you, trying to put you to speed with all the latest that you really need to know about your country. I think that is important, more especially the ones in diaspora. To have an update in the country is good. But on the social media too, a man in Ziganshore born himself plus his two children. The son is dead, the girl is currently at the hospital. But up till now, we can't establish why the man did that. But let's join the BBC inquiry team to tell us more about what exactly President Putin now wants.
Achievable by Trump. Trump's overall approach is actually somewhat similar to the way he speaks about annexing Greenland, potentially Canada and Panama. That is the talk from the world that Putin wants to establish. So he must be pleased with that. At the same time, given the overall chaotic approach of the Trump administration, I find it hard to imagine that Trump and Putin could actually really be discussing the world order.
That chaotic approach could prove a challenge in balancing a fragile diplomacy. We also saw signs of how quickly the wind can change with that extraordinary moment in the Oval Office.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
What had up until that moment been an easy and diplomatic conversation descended into chaos.
This country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should.
President Zelensky and his team left the White House soon after.
That was a horrible meeting, and of course for Ukraine that had immediate consequences when the United States stopped military aid, including intelligence sharing. That actually had immediate consequences for Ukraine's ability to operate on the battlefield. Intelligence sharing especially, because many of the weapons that Ukraine uses, they rely on Americans for targeting, for data. And so when that was stopped, that was really a severe blow. But I think the surprise, and nice surprise for Putin, has been how well targeted these blows have been in some respects, and to what extent Trump actually has adopted Russia's talking points on many issues, such as the role of President Zelensky, the idea that Ukraine supposedly needs elections because Zelensky is illegitimate. So for a while it seemed that Trump really was following a script written by Putin.
Kadrilik says that shift in support came as a severe blow to Ukraine. It ultimately led to President Zelensky apologizing. So far, so good for Putin. And while it had looked like relations were improving between the American and Russian leaders, at the end of March, things turned sour. President Trump said he was very angry with comments Mr. Putin had made on the credibility of Zelensky's leadership. At the moment, there is no ceasefire. But it does seem that President Trump shares some of the same agenda as President Putin.
He wants to achieve Ukraine that is subordinate to Russia, also when it comes to military forces. He wants Ukraine to be demilitarized. And of course, it's also the Kremlin's dream to see American troops leave Europe. Americans are discussing that as well.
Putin's long-term goal is Ukraine, and he's currently trying to take that by military force. But it's been a long war so far, and with no ceasefire in sight, and the new relationship with Trump, has this affected his image at home?
Part 2. The Russian view.
My name is Maria Snegovaya. I'm a senior fellow with Europe, Russia, and Eurasia program at Center for Strategic and International Studies. Russians have a different understanding of politics and power, historically conditioned. In Russia, the top ruler, whoever occupies the key position of power, is almost a half-sacred figure, even in the